ETF as an underlying component of their target date funds. You've seen some maybe get into, if they want some very specific exposures, maybe on a tactical basis, let's say something like Japanese equities or, something more very specific.
For a short period of time.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think
they would be expensive otherwise, wouldn't they?
That's right. I think many people say, forget that. Often you can get it cheaper if you go through an index mutual fund or a collective trust. So we haven't seen, you're seeing some players use ETFs in their underlying funds here and there, but it's still been a very, very small, slow crawl.
Okay. Have you seen any impact from ESG focused target date funds?
So from a target date perspective, no, we really haven't seen much yet. I think there's a series out there that focus on ESG. I'm not sure how much success they're having, but it's not something that we hear many plan sponsors asking for within the target date space. Although ESG,
so there are options. You would have those options on a menu, but not necessarily.
That's right. In an off-the-shelf or retail target date series, we haven't heard the need from the marketplace. I think what we've seen, right, and so we spend a lot of time thinking about ESG bigger picture, and we've seen in Europe it's had tremendous traction over there. In the U.S., it's gaining a lot of traction here. In the DC space, maybe to a much lesser extent. In the target date space, to a significantly lesser extent. So at some point, we continue to keep our ear to the ground to hear when we think that more plan sponsors may want something like that, and we will be ready to start thinking about if that's something we want to offer. But today, thus far, we've seen very, very little movement or requests for an ESG target date series.
Okay, great. Are you still receiving the kind of, is it sort of settled down the request for information about fees and the is that just sort of a standard part of life as we know it now?
I think so. I think today target date fund managers are typically very transparent about expenses. We see most plan sponsors benchmark their investment expenses on a regular and an ongoing basis. The administrative costs are typically benchmarked less frequently, maybe every 3 years or so, something like record keeping. So, but I think to your point early on, it's become, I think, fairly common and fairly routine, which is a good thing that target date fund managers are very transparent with their fees, and plan sponsors and consultants and advisors are very keen to making sure they understand what those fees are.
Right. Okay, great. Right. Retirement income. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but just to sort of come back and say, I'd like to understand what you're doing and what you're seeing in terms of the marketplace, because this does seem to be an area where we're seeing change.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is an area of the market where we see increased conversation, but still somewhat limited action by plans.
Okay.
So, I'd say retirement income continues to be very much a topic of conversation with plan sponsors. Target date, we talked a little about this earlier, but target date fund managers have been focused on, the decumulation phase or the retirement phase of participants' sort of lifetime for a long time. Thus far,
tens of years at this point.
Exactly. And thus far, you've seen insurance companies like Prudential are really the only firms, for the most part, that can offer guaranteed income products. But you're seeing sort of all asset managers looking for ways to use their target date funds in retirement income strategies and to customize solutions for retirees. So target date fund managers are thinking about it, and those without the retirement aspect are trying to partner with insurance companies like Prudential for their own series. I think as more plans kind of continue to accommodate participants taking withdrawals in retirement within the plan, and more participants continue to stay in the plan, plan sponsors will continue to demand more, in-plan income solutions, right? And with that demand, when that demand is present, certainly asset managers are going to continue to offer solutions to address that ask or that need by plans. Maybe the last thing I'll mention is certainly there needs to be, I believe there needs to be some catalyst